From the incident at the Andrews Market in North Charleston to Governor Martin O Malley's town hall meeting on Saturday, community activist Pastor Thomas Dixon sits down with me one-on-one for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. You talk about the relationship between the Middle Eastern stores and the African American neighborhoods. How do you repair that relationship?
Wow, that's a very, very complicated question there. Thank you. But let me back up. Sure. Let me just make a couple of quick comments. So first off, I want everybody to understand that when I talk about those, the operators of those stores and being of Middle Eastern descent, in no way am I referring to all Middle Easterners. In my community, that across the nation, in stores that I visited, it's always been utilized in the same term. They're always called not Arabs, but Arabs. Arabs. This is an ethnic thing in black communities all across America that I guess our people have never taken time to distinguish between the Yemeni, Arabs or the other Arabs, or the other different ethnicities of Muslim descent, and we just blanket across the board have called all that operate those stores Arabs. Now, there's a controversy about Elder Johnson, if you don't mind me touching on this.
Please, go for it. I was going to ask you that.
There's a controversy about Elder Johnson, and there are people that are in an uproar because he used terms like foreigner and the Arabs, or actually he said Arabs actually, and he used the term about going back to their own country. First off, I need for folks to understand that when Elder used that term, he wasn't speaking about all Middle Easterners, everyone of Middle Eastern descent. He wasn't talking about all Arabs. He was speaking specifically to those bloodsuckers who operate these stores within our communities, who sell poison to our community. And when he said as far as raping our community, it's robbing our community blind by taking advantage of the fact that the resources that were once in our community have been removed. In many of the situations where those stores exist, they're the only store where people have to frequent. And so they price gouge. Because these are high drug areas, the drug dealers are allowed to sell their drugs outside of the store. And of course, there needs to be some vehicle for drug users to use their merchandise, so they go right in the store and they buy it. In many of the places you can buy a crack pipe, the screens, and a lighter for $5. They call it a setup. Now, I can't go in the white community and get this. I can't go to Walgreens or Walmart or Bilo and get this. But at this store run by Middle Easterners, I can go in there and get it. Now, it's that type of relationship, along with the other things I've said already, that distinguishes these Arabs from the general population in the mind of black people. Elder was not in any way trying to generalize that all Middle Easterners are like that. This is a term that, and I know 99% of the black people that I know that come from the hood that know about these stores, as soon as he said the word, knew exactly what he was talking about. But just because others who are not a part of that environment don't understand it, they get riled up over what he said. Oh, he's discriminating, he's generalizing everything. No, he wasn't generalizing. You just have to stop and understand the colloquialism.
And I know that the National Action Network actually pushed back on his comments. And as you know, right down the hallway a few days ago, him and I sat down for a one-on-one interview, and he basically said he doesn't want to work with Nelson Rivers ever again. He felt like man threw him under the bus. How did we get here?
Sometimes in our quest to move forward, and certain peoples are elevated in stature, sometimes they forget where they came from. Sometimes the will to explain or make things palatable for people overrides the reality of the situation. What I just explained was just the reality of the situation, plain and simple. I don't understand why anybody from Al Sharpton right on down to the street National Action Network person from the community that is non-white, okay, who not necessarily is from the hood. I don't see why any of them didn't understand that the elder wasn't pointing fingers at all Middle Easterns. And every last one of them, I'm sure, understand the explanation that I just gave. Right. You know, so all I can see is that pushback that he received was motivated by a different agenda, other than the fact that and I know NAN prides itself in being champions of the truth. Okay. Apparently, in this situation, they decided that fiction was better than truth. Elder Johnson gave the truth. Since then, when asked to apologize, he's been unapologetic for it. I stand with him and I support him in what he's done because I understand his motivation for doing so. And what I'd really like to see is that NAN step up, the corporate structure step up, and demand that those two men that misused this man inside of that store and caught on film, that they be arrested immediately for assaulting this man on camera and not allow him. Where is that outrage at? Where is that outrage from all of the people that are Elder Johnson this and Elder Johnson that and Elder Johnson that? No, let's go back to what happened in Andrews Market, and let's get that outrage directed at these cowards who assaulted that man in their store unnecessarily and did not wait for the police to come and do their job.
You touched on this a little bit, and these two words stuck out to me: fiction and truth. What is fiction and what is truth right now in your mind? When you look back at the video, you look at the press conference, and you look at really the interview that I did with Elder Johnson about the press conference in the Andrews Market, what is fiction and truth in your mind?
The truth is the simple application of what happened. When we look at the video of Mr. Mazik in the store, right. The truth is obvious. That man was submissive. That man wasn't a threat to them. That man was on the floor. When he did step up, the one guy slapped him. Slapped him in his face. It's a grown man. Yes, they say, well, he had been in the store and had stolen from them before. Allegedly. Allegedly. Well, the reality is in their store, and if that's the case, they shouldn't have let him come back in. They could have filed a police report. Here we go back to the police again, restricting his access to the store. But instead, they let him back in. Now, he was accused of stealing some incense and something else. 50 cents, $1 worth of stuff. When we look at the video, right. The truth of the video, the reality of the video, we didn't see him at one time swing on anybody. We didn't see him cuss anybody out. We didn't even see him get angry or belligerent. But we see these two over-aggressively assaulting him. One with a sword, who at any time, I'm quite sure, I probably thought he'd be ready to die. Because you got one person with a sword in his hand beating him while another person is walking around with a gun in his hand. And he's probably saying, it's not, man, it was just some incense. But of course there are consequences for our actions, but there's also the punishment must always fit the crime. And it was not their job to exact any kind of punishment at that time. So inside of that video and inside of that store at that time, the truth is, yes, he stole. And yes, he was caught stealing. But they had no right to exact punishment on him in the way that they did. That's the truth in that. As a result of that, the interview with Elder and Nan that day, and right. The words that Elder spoke, right. The truth is, unless folks who interpret what he said, well, okay, first part of the truth, he should have clarified what he meant at that particular time when he made the general statement. And that should have been a distinct part of what he said then. I'm not talking about all Middle Easterners. I'm talking about those that operate these stores in our community. He should have stuck with that and then elaborated. And that would have given the understanding of the truth that what he was saying had to do specifically with these store operators, not just that store,
Right.
but other stores in the inner city communities. So that's the truth of it. The fiction of it as the perception that others have taken based on not they're not knowing what he said, what he really meant. And instead of asking, they just went off on it. Many people just went off on it. They just took it and ran with it. And unfortunately, as I looked on social media,
Right.
the lineup of people that agreed with the elder and said right on and thank you for standing up and everything was black folk, black folk, black folk, black folk, black folk. But the people that had a problem with it were on the other side of the color spectrum, down across the board. Very few of the blacks that I saw Facebook commenting made any reference about he was wrong for speaking in that manner, and very few on the white side said that he was right for speaking in that manner.
I hate to be, I don't know, I'm not obviously in criminal law or anything like that, but as we sit here right now, you look for what should be the punishment for the store owners and what should be the punishment for the alleged shoplifting suspect?
Now, first off, for the suspect, let me go for the suspect. He's accused of stealing some incense and something else. I think the total value, I'm going to just round it up to $5.
Okay.
That's a misdemeanor crime. He's, at the most a night in jail, at the most, and then back on his way.
Okay.
Now the charges on the two store owners could range anywhere from assault and battery, assault with intent to kill, felony charges. So what should happen to them as far as the police department? Well, I'm myself, I'm not a legal expert or anything like that. But when I look at the degree of damage that they did in this and the degree of the assault, I think that they should be charged accordingly. Anywhere from a bottom line of assault and battery up to assault with intent to kill. And then let's let the judge figure out beyond that point. Right now, the police department, and I hate to say it, the North Charleston Police Department has not done their duty in order to bring in arrest, and then turn it over to the prosecutors and a judge or jury to figure out whether they're guilty or innocent. Right now, there was a crime committed, or even just a possibility. I see black folks get picked up every day and arrested because the police think that they did something. Well, it looks like from the video that something might have happened in that store. And not only just the person that was allegedly the suspect was part of that something, but the two workers that were there were part of that something. So if they arrested him, they should have arrested the other two also. And then let the court system figure it out from there.
Okay.
Let our justice system figure it out.
All right. Well, Pastor Thomas Dixon, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Yes, Quintin, thank you. All righty. Thank you for the challenging questions. And you're a good man.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.